Welcome to the assembly of your Centr 1 Home Gym Functional Trainer. Before you get started, read the entire Centr 1 user manual before attempting to build or use this machine. The user manual contains step-by-step instructions for proper assembly. Warning: before beginning any exercise program, consult your physician. This is especially important for individuals over the age of 35 or persons with pre-existing health concerns. Make sure you have at least 84 inches by 74 inches and 75 inches in height of space to place your Centr 1. It is recommended that 2 people work together to assemble this machine, which may take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. This Centr 1 Home Gym Functional Trainer is intended for indoor use only. Rust can form on certain parts in a humid environment, resulting in impaired function. Unpack all parts and hardware parts and lay them out, preferably by step. Use the parts list included in this manual to verify that all parts are accounted for before assembly. If any parts are missing or you have any questions, contact Centr support for replacement parts through email, by phone, or through chat. Most hardware assembly follows a standard through-bolt convention of bolt, washer, parts, washer, nut. The left and right orientations as described in this video are from the user's perspective if they are standing in the unit looking out away from the weight stack. Assembly instructions. Step 1. Start by attaching the left frame leg tube to the lower main frame weldment using 2 M10 by 70 bolts, 4 flat washers, and 2 M10 lock nuts. Keep hardware loose until instructed to tighten. Next, repeat on the other side by attaching the right frame leg tube to the lower main frame weldment using 2 M10 by 70 bolts, 4 flat washers, and 2 M10 lock nuts. Keep hardware loose until instructed to tighten. Attach the footplate to the left and right frame leg tubes using 4 M10 by 20 bolts and 4 flat washers. Leave the hardware loose until instructed in Step 8. Step 2. Attach the left upright slider assembly to the left frame leg tube using 2 M10 by 75 bolts, 4 flat washers, and 2 M10 lock nuts. Pay attention to the angled tab with the 2 bolt holes on the base of the upright slider assembly. This should be oriented to the inside of the unit. Next, repeat on the other side by attaching the right upright slider assembly to the right frame leg tube using 2 M10 by 75 bolts, 4 flat washers, and 2 M10 lock nuts. Again, pay attention to the angle tab with the 2 bolt holes on the base of the upright slider assembly. This should be facing to the inside of the unit. Now, leave the hardware loose until instructed in Step 8. Step 3. Insert 2 guide rods into the guide rod holes in the base of the lower main frame weldment with the bolt holes in the guide rods at the bottom. Attach the guide rods into the lower main frame weldment with 2 M8 by 35 bolts and 2 flat washers by slightly elevating the guide rods and aligning the bolt holes in the bottom of the guide rods to the holes at the front of the lower main frame weldment. Slide 2 rubber bumpers over the 2 guide rods and slide all the way down to the base. Cover the entire surface of both guide rods with the provided guide rod lubricant. Slide each of the 15 weight stack plates one at a time over the guide rods. Orient the weight plates with the weight stack label slot facing forward and the weight plate tabs on the bottom of each weight stack plate. Slide the top plate assembly over the guide rods and slide down on top of the weight stack plates. Apply the weight stack numbers 1 to 21 to the weight stack label slot, starting with the number 2 sticker on the top weight stack plate. Now, apply the number 1 weight stack number to the top plate assembly and align the number 1 label above the number 2 label. At this time, tighten the 2 bolts at the bottom of number 3 lower main frame weldment into the number 19 guide rods using the number 6 Allen wrench. Step 4. Attach floor plate to the angled tabs at the bottom of the left and right upright slider assemblies using 4 M8 by 15 bolts and 4 flat washers. Leave hardware loose until step 8. Step 5. Attach the rear upright support tube to the upright connecting tube at the rear of the lower main frame weldment with 2 M10 by 65 bolts oriented from right to left and 4 flat washers and 2 M10 lock nuts. Then, attach 1 M10 by 65 bolt oriented from back to front and 2 flat washers and 1 M10 lock nut. Note, the plugged holes of the rear upright support tube are towards the top. Step 6. Attach the upper crossbar weldment to the top of the left upright slider assembly with 2 M10 by 70 bolts, 4 flat washers, and 2 M10 lock nuts. Attach the water bottle holder to the water bottle holder bracket. Attach the upper crossbar weldment to the top of the right upright slider assembly and the water bottle holder with 2 M10 by 70 bolts, 4 flat washers, and 2 M10 lock nuts. Step 7. Attach the tablet mount L bracket to the upper crossbar weldment using 1 M6 by 60 bolt, 2 flat washers, and 1 M6 lock nut. Attach the center tablet holder to the tablet mount L bracket, orienting the tablet holder with a spring-loaded edge towards the top with 1 M6 by 75 bolt, 2 flat washers, and 1 M6 lock nut. Step 8. Place the upper main frame weldment so that the top of the guide rods fit into the cylindrical tubes of the upper main frame weldment. Attach the upper main frame weldment to the upper crossbar weldment with 2 M8 by 15 bolts and 2 flat washers from the top, and 2 M8 by 15 bolts and 2 flat washers from the rear. Attach the rear portion of the upper main frame weldment to the top of the rear upright support tube with 2 M10 by 75 bolts, 4 flat washers, and 2 M10 lock nuts, left to right. Then, attach 1 M10 by 75 bolt, 2 flat washers, and 1 M10 lock nut from back to front. At this point, ensure the base frame is sitting flat and tighten all hardware. Ensure that all the base and frame hardware are tight and secure, and that the gym is flat and stable. Step 9. Attach the top cover to the crossbar cover with 6 M4 by 16 screws using a number 5 Allen and Phillips head wrench. Attach top cover to the upper main frame weldment with 6 M4 by 16 screws. Step 10. Cable routing. The final steps in your Centr 1 home gym functional trainer assembly will be completing the cable routing and checking to ensure the machine is functioning optimally. The cables of the rotating functional pivot arms are pre-assembled. To assemble the weight stack cable, begin by removing the jam nut and the threaded end of one end of the weight stack cable. This is the end that you will thread through the machine. Thread the other end of the weight stack cable into the threaded barrel on the top of the left upright slider assembly as shown. Then, route the cable under the upper pulley of the left floating pulley assembly. Throughout the cable routing, make sure the cable is running in contact only with the groove or trough of the pulleys. Route the cable back up to the pulley at the top of the upper mainframe weldment on the left-hand side. Route the cable down under the pulley on the top plate assembly. Be careful not to twist the cables and pulleys. Then, route the cable back up through the pulley on the right side of the upper mainframe weldment and back down around the upper pulley of the right side floating pulley assembly. Then, reapply the threaded end and jam nut to the end of the cable and thread that end into the threaded barrel on the top of the right upright slider assembly. Check the cable routing by pulling the end of the pivot arm cables and making sure that the weight stack moves smoothly and silently. Be careful to pin only a light weight. If it feels rough or you hear and/or feel any roughness, please go back and check all the cable routing. Pay particular attention that the cables are running only through the groove or trough of the pulleys and not in contact with any other parts. Once you are satisfied that the cables are routed correctly and are running smoothly and quietly, check the cable tension. If the top plate assembly is sitting off of the top of the first weight stack plate, the cable is too tight. Adjust the end of the weight stack cable at either or both ends where the ends are threaded into the barrels at the top of the left and right upright slider assembly by loosening the jam nut and threading in or out the ends of the cable until the top plate assembly is just touching the top weight stack plate. Then, tighten the jam nut on each end of the weight stack cable. Over time, as you use the Centr 1, the cables may experience some stretching. This is how you can adjust the cable slack if that happens. This completes the assembly of your Centr 1 home gym functional trainer. Congratulations! Before you dive into your first Centr 1 workout on the Centr app, adjust both pivot arms up and down and rotate them through all the positions to ensure that everything is working easily and smoothly. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us through the contact information on page 3 of your user manual. Transform your wellness routine and unlock limitless ways to train by activating your complimentary Centr digital membership. Get started and make the most of your Centr 1 home gym with the included Quick Start Guide.